Welcome to the Fantasy Within a Fantasy 500, brought to you by Arby's. Don't matter. I am your host, Austin Artinger, and today we've got a wonderful race planned. It's 102 degrees outside. We got these drivers ready to go to determine the draft lottery order of the Fantasy Within a Fantasy football draft that'll be coming up here in the next 2 weeks or so. So, to get more information on the race, let's toss it over to our sideline reporter, Austin Artinger. Austin.
Thanks, Austin. It's never been done before, but for the first time ever, an entire race is being hosted solely to determine a fantasy football draft's order. We have a few interviews lined up with the drivers, so let's go ahead and bring some of them in. Yes, I'm here with the driver of the number 9 McDonald's Dodge Charger, Zorian Sarabia. What led you to secure that sponsorship for the number 9?
Well, I just really love McDonald's, and I decided, I lost the sponsorship for Mountain Dew, so I just went with the next best choice.
Indeed, Mountain Dew was stolen by Lance this season. He'll also be driving the number 9, as will somebody else in this draft. Now, in terms of where are we looking to finish with your number 9 McDonald's Dodge Charger? Are we looking to try and win the race? Ultimately, what draft position would you be looking to secure?
Now, obviously, I would love to win, but honestly, I'm thinking around probably 6th place would be a solid spot to just choose from,
Okay, why is that? Is there someone you're looking to target maybe with the number 6 overall selection in Fantasy Within a Fantasy?
It's just a very good place to kind of select from. Maybe start off with a solid running back like Derrick Henry or someone like that, and then ignore running back for a while and just pick all the great wide receivers you have available at that kind of spot in the rounds 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, a sponsor that's not on his car, but maybe he's alluding to a future with Arby's. Arby's, they don't matter. Back to you, Austin.
Thanks, Austin. Yes, the number 9 McDonald's Dodge Charger, piloted by Zorian Sarabia, has had its experience of ups and downs. Despite consistently being a top 6 scoring team over the last 4 seasons, they have not really been able to get it done when it matters the most, missing the playoffs multiple occasions. But maybe this year will change, unless, of course, COVID-19 ruins everything. We have another interview lined up, so let's go ahead and toss it back to Austin Artinger, who's live with another driver.
Thanks, Austin. I'm standing alongside the former driver of the number 19 Best Buy Dodge Charger, Milo Sarabia. Now, you retired kind of suddenly. You want to explain maybe that situation a little bit more?
Well, I used to be a resident of Fantasyland, but I've since moved to Murrieta, California, so that kind of eliminated me from the competition.
Now, is it true that the last 2 years in the league you have also resided in Murrieta, California?
No, that's actually not true. I had previously lived in Fantasyland, but now I live in Murrieta. I recently moved here not too long ago. So.
Okay, well, now that your ride has been handed on to a newcomer in the league, Ricky Benedict, what are you looking to pass on in the legacy of the number 19? I know in the past 2 years you've had basically bottom of the league finishes. What kind of advice would you give to the next driver?
Just win more, I mean, my guys were just beautiful. They played well, they got all the points, but they sucked. So, I don't know.
So you're blaming the players?
Yes, I'm blaming the players.
All right, well, that's all we have here. Number 19, former driver. You'll live in the Fantasy Within a Fantasy Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Back to you, Austin.
Thanks, Austin. Yes, we wish Milo Sarabia good luck in Murrieta, California. But now, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, let's get to the introduction of the Fantasy Within a Fantasy 500. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever taken a joke so far that it feels like you're just beating a dead horse? Well, that meat has to go somewhere.
Arby's, we have the meat.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines! Okay.
That was a mess.
Take a look at Lance's Mountain Dew number 9 win the race backwards. He has a straight shot to the finish before a last-ditch effort to wreck him from Jeff's number 42. It also appears as though my number 19 is going to coast into a second place finish, but the newcomer, Ricky, swoops in and takes second in an exciting photo finish. Only 3 cars were fast enough to cross the finish line, so the rest of the field finishes based on how close they were to the finish line. Only 1 attempt of this race was made. There were some practice sessions, but with other cars, just to determine that we could get them down the ramp and it would work out and stuff like that. But this was the only attempt at this race, so all results are final.
What an exciting, unbelievable finish to that race. And now we have the order of the Fantasy Within a Fantasy football draft. So let's kick it over to a graphic to see what that order is going to be.
Lance and the number 9 Mountain Dew Dodge are going to be taking the pole and starting with the first overall pick in this year's draft, followed by both number 19s of Ricky in the Best Buy Dodge and myself, Austin, in the Stanley Tools Dodge. Then comes Othman in 4th, Zorian in 5th, and Chris Allen wrapping up the top 6. Ashley will come in 7th in the number 22, followed by Jeff in the 42. Then driving the number 10, we have Shane starting in the 9th place. Andrew in the number 7, he's taken 10th. Jared in the number 77, taking 11th place. And then rounding the draft out, we have Sam in the 12th position, driving the number 88. And that is going to do it for the 2020 Fantasy Within a Fantasy League.
All right, now that we have the order down, you all know it, you've memorized it, you can start preparing for it, and I bet you're wondering when the next date of the Fantasy Within a Fantasy Draft is going to be. So without further ado, I am going to toss it over to our in-studio co-host, Jack Marius Tech Theratrax, to give you that date. Thanks, Jack Marius. That'll do it for this year's production of the Fantasy Within a Fantasy 500, brought to you by Arby's. Nothing will matter if the league doesn't even start this year. So that'll do it. Come back next year for another exciting draft lottery for Fantasy Within a Fantasy.